Chris.
I agree.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be offended.
Don't be offended, Chris, please.
Do I have your permission?
What?
Who did you pick for this week's Evil Man topic?
Mike!
Ugh. Oh my God, you went there, didn't you? Well, I guess since you asked, I gotta say, this week's Evil Man, I picked Krasnar, the Raspberrian. An ancient caveman made out of raspberry juice. No, I'm just joking.
I hate
But-
raspberries, so if that was what you chose, I would be sweating and shaking.
So it's already
Hey.
high up there on the evilometer for
Yeah.
Krasbar, the raspberry
Krasbar.
man?
Hang on a second.
Raspberrian?
Beep, beep, beep. Back up. Mike, you hate raspberries?
I am known to be a guy who loves most berries. Strawberry, huckleberry, blackberry,
Huckle-
blueberry. If you can eat them before they go moldy.
I
However,
love
raspberries-
huckleberry.
Raspberries, throw them in the garbage. Put them in the toilet. Light the toilet on fire and blow up the toilet with
That-
dynamite.
That is a really hot take. Like I've never heard someone not like raspberries.
Hate 'em?
Mike, I have a gluten-free oat bar in my fridge right now with raspberry filling.
Well, you can keep that gluten-free oat bar with raspberry filling to yourself, James, because I don't want anything to do with it.
Okay, well.
You know who I don't want to be gluten free?
What?
My sexual partners.
Why?
Give me them glutes.
Oh,
Okay.
their asses.
Glutes.
I like how you specify that you have sexual partners.
I mean, in whatever. Yeah.
Can I also, just before you get to it, this is my understanding. Mike has never told me this. My understanding of Mike's top 3 foods he hates. I'm going to say 3, raspberries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to say 2, melon, like the certain kind of melon. You call it, I've seen you refer to it as toilet melon. Like, or cantaloupe or something. Like, there's some kind of melon you don't
I like melon
you know?
in general. There's like that, what's that green melon that's just kind of like they add it to fruit salads to
Yes,
fill it
that's
out?
the one maybe you don't like.
I mean, I'll eat it, but it's not.
Okay, maybe
No,
I overstated
I don't
it.
hate it like I hate raspberries.
And is the other one I think you hate green peppers?
Not my favorite. I will eat them on pizza.
Okay.
Olives. Throw them in the toilet, blow the toilet up
Olives.
to send the toilet to space. And I'm allergic to raw oysters. So I
Oh my
So the
God.
Mike crappy food Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Olives, raspberries,
Yeah.
raw oysters.
yes.
Wow.
On-
Which sounds like a perfect party to me.
And like the real Mount Rushmore, this Mount Rushmore of terrible food is built on stolen land as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what a party. Hey, come to the party, Mike. We've got oysters, olives, got some raspberries.
And figs as well. Don't like figs.
And our
So
cutting
your
board
Mount
is
Rushmore
from
of bad
stolen
food
land.
is
Yeah.
figs, raspberries, olives, oysters.
Yeah.
You sound like you just don't like fancy parties.
I have like peasant guts.
Mike had an early childhood trauma at a fancy party. I also hate champagne. I hate caviar.
I hate nice jazz music and people dressed up in today's new fashions and cigars.
I hate flirting with my friends' wives as we all put our keys in a big bowl.
No, but just to be clear, I do love champagne. I love
Champagne.
expensive desserts.
Ooh.
Fine cuts
Yeah.
of steak.
Nice.
What's your favorite expensive dessert?
Key lime pie.
I've seen those individually packaged in plastic
Yeah.
triangles in Rabba fine foods.
Yeah, they're wrapped for like individual like people
Enjoyment.
to enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
Master Wayne, are you sure you want me to pull over the Rolls Royce beside Rabba Fine Foods? The guy I picked, I think he came up on the Discord recently. Yeah. He does sound like that barbarian name that I joked, but this is his real name. Varg Vikernes. Vikernes.
Varg Vikernes.
Varg Vikernes.
I'm guessing he's not from Ireland.
He's from Virginia. As we all are.
Yeah.
So he was born Christian Vikernes, 11 February 1973, but he's better known as Varg Vikernes. He's a Norwegian musician and author, best known for his early black metal albums, and of course later, Crimes.
Crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And what band?
So his first 5 records released under the name Burzum.
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 Yeah.
From 92 to 96, made him one of the most influential figures in the early Norwegian black metal scene.
So he was a legitimate big deal. He wasn't a hanger-on.
No way, dude. He was one of the tops.
So, like, would you say that Burzum were like the Beatles of Norwegian Nazi metal?
Yes. You know when you go into like a museum and there's Beatles stuck to a board with a nail through them?
Yeah.
That's what these bands sounded like. That's their version of the Beatles.
I'm actually a bit scared to even hear the song. I don't like death metal.
Whoa.
I don't have I don't have your Wi-Fi here, so I can't just play one right now. This is not even death metal. This is black metal.
So
dude.
is that worse?
I mean, this stuff's from the 90s, and it's the stuff that's like whoa.
I hate that.
It's
To
not
its-
even
to
like
a
at
point.
that point yet. It's more like screaming,
Hmm.
but it's really, really, really fast drums.
Do they
a-
use
and
organ
heavy.
as well and keyboard, or is that something
No,
a different genre of metal?
they prefer not.
Are you
but
thinking
some
of
people in
singer-songwriter,
later
Mike?
times?
Like Billy Joel?
Well, the band Cradle of Filth. I don't know what metal genre they are. They use like organ and keyboard amongst all of the
wow.
metal instruments.
Cradle of Filth is dark imagery, eh?
I mean, wash that baby.
Yeah, like, or you have a cradle and you put poo in it instead of a baby. How about you get the poo
Yeah.
out and have a baby
Yeah.
with your wife?
my baby.
Oh. The poo is his baby.
Well, think
he's
about where
saying.
Kiss
Baby-
my baby.
Baby Jesus was born where? In a barn
Mm.
full of animals.
Filth.
They must have relieved themselves near the cradle.
Cow shit.
Hey, I got a cool idea for a band name.
Cradle of filth.
Okay, well.
Oh, okay. Right into the mic.
Good God. Background in childhood. So a lot of these, this is like me. Like I've watched a bunch of documentaries on these guys, but I got to admit, I got most of the information from Wikipedia, different Wikipedia pages. A lot of these were interviews from. There's a 1998 book called Lords of Chaos. So check out that book if you're a fan of black metal. If you haven't checked it out already, Vikernes discussed his background and childhood in that. He said in the book Lord of Chaos, he said his mother was working in a large oil company and his father is an electronics engineer and his older brother is a civil engineer.
Sounds like a successful family.
Yeah. Vikernes recalls that when he was 6 years old, the family moved for about a year to Baghdad, Iraq, because Vikernes' father was working for Saddam Hussein, developing a computer program. Since there were no places available in the English school in Baghdad, the young Vikernes went to an Iraqi elementary school during this time, and here he became aware of racial matters. Corporal punishment was very common in the school, and on one occasion, Vikernes had a quarrel with a teacher and called him a monkey.
Okay.
I see.
This is Vikernes.
I see.
Varg. You're
Yeah.
doing it all wrong.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Varg.
You're in their country, too. You're living in their world, and you've got that arrogance about you already. But
I was
anyways,
gonna say, his parents don't sound like they just did due diligence to get him into a school.
no, they were
for-
racist.
Yeah.
There's more. I didn't keep a lot in about his parents, but
Yeah.
they seemed like regular, sheltered, sort of like racist, white supremacist views. But anyways,
And this is like the 80s?
yeah. But he said that the teachers, though, this is what he's talking about with the racial matters, is they didn't dare to hit me because I was white. And the other children in his class would get slapped by their teachers, and he would not. So there you go. He's already got an experience of preferential treatment for his race.
I see. And he has bad views already.
The Encyclopedia of White Power and historian Nicholas Goodrick Clark have both alleged that Vikernes was part of the neo-Nazi skinhead culture as an adolescent.
Yeah, I know. I got a copy of that right here.
Check it out.
They just updated it for 2024.
Yes. Yeah.
Kidding.
Kanye's in it. When asked in the Lords of the Chaos interview whether he hung out with skinheads in Bergen is the town, in Norway where he's from, which is like West Coast Norway. Vikernes said,
Cali.
If
Yeah.
everybody had an ocean and white supremacist views.
"Go west, young racist." Vikernes said that there were no skinheads in Bergen. I don't know why I kept that note in. Who
Everybody's
gives a shit?
being racist in Bergen, Norway.
Catch a wave and you're racist all over the world. We always get into Beach Boys riffs. A fan of classical music as a child, Tchaikovsky in particular, Vikernes started listening to heavy metal at 12, citing Iron Maiden as his biggest inspiration. Later, he discovered other metal bands whose sound would be influential on his own bands, such as Creator, Sodom, Celtic Frost, Bathory, Destruction, Megadeth, Slayer, Pestilence, Deicide, and Vaughn.
You guys were talking yesterday about Megadeth, weren't you?
Yeah, Chris, you were.
Rust in Peace? I never knew it. It's killer. Also, pretty much everything Slayer made is killer. I heard a Creator song once. That was good. Celtic Frost's first album is amazing. So, yeah, I was this close to getting into Norwegian black metal, I guess.
You also spent a year at a school in Baghdad, but look at you turned out all right.
Yeah.
So what's this Varg's problem?
They slapped the shit out of me. Shout out to Adrian, our hardcore metal fan, Evil Men fan.
Oh, I did not know Adrian was a metal person.
Yeah. From an early age, Vikernes was also deeply fascinated with the fictional realm of Middle-earth, created by J.R.R. Tolkien?
So
Just
many
kidding.
metal
It's
guys
Tolkien.
and rockers love The Hobbit. Like Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin has, the Ramble On is set in the
Yeah.
Hobbit world. What is with that? It's funny, huh?
I don't. They like elves for some dumbass reason. His stage name Grishnak is taken from that of an orc in The Two Towers, while the band name Burzum, meaning darkness, was taken from the black speech inscribed on the One Ring in The Lord of the Rings. The inscription read, Ash Nazig Dur Batuluk, Ash Nazig Gimbatul, Ash Nazig Thrakatuluk, Ag Burzum Ishi Kripatul.
Wait, so this fucking nerd who's like a Nazi murderer is like a super mega fan of Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. Or in English, that's one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them.
But the language you were speaking was like made up Hobbit.
Yeah, I think that was Elfin or
So of
something.
all the words too, there were some
Middle
cooler
Earth.
words than Burzum.
But Burzum means darkness.
Oh,
So if you're into metal,
Burzum means
you've
darkness
picked that out.
in Elven.
maybe, yeah.
I wonder if he ever tried to write music to some of the drinking songs that are in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
Or what if he had gotten really into a different animated thing, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had songs set in Toonland with Baby Herman.
Or yeah, maybe if he would have gone a
Jessica.
different way if he was inspired by Peanuts comics.
Yeah.
Additionally, before joining the Bergen death metal band Old Funeral, which I think is the funniest name for a band ever. We're Old Funeral.
It's like guys who don't quite understand English, and they're like, well, we know the word funeral is cool,
Yeah.
but old...
What's worse than a funeral? Old Funeral. That has gone rotten.
old funeral.
It stinks like Old Funeral.
Imagining the band's name in that like death metal font. Old Funeral.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Old Funeral. Yeah. Is it time to leave yet? God. He was in a band. Okay, before that, he was in a band called Uruk Hai, which was named for a type of orc from Tolkien's writing.
wow.
So Vikernes started playing guitar at the age of 14 when he was 17, Vikernes came into contact with members of Old Funeral. Hello. He played guitar with them during 1990 to 91 and performed on their Devoured Carcass EP.
Wow. Oh, that's a classic.
devoured a carcass. Okay.
That was like the
Where'd you get the
height.
carcass, Loblaws?
That was a golden age of Old Funeral.
Old Funeral wasn't as good after...
After Devoured
Devoured
Carcass. That
Carcass.
was their Pinkerton. That was their...
Hey, you guys really devoured that carcass.
Hey, that gives me an idea.
I've got an idea for an album. Before he began... Okay, so after that, he began his solo musical project, Burzum.
So wait. He just quit Old Funeral?
I think he was anxious. I think
Right,
he had
right.
ants in his pants to get this
Well, he might
Burzum
have-
project off the
Maybe he's intimidated to be working with Old Funeral, and he was like, I don't know
I
what
also
it
got to
takes.
say, like, everybody that comes up in this story, I'm scared of. So even
Me
though we're
too.
making jokes and laughing, guys, I know you're like older now, and some of you are still alive, but we're scared of you.
'Cause they're
So
all like- they
we're
look
laughing
like-
because we're scared.
They
Okay.
look like Vikings, and they do wear like that, like black demon makeup, like those Norwegian.
Yeah.
Is it dark metal?
It's like called corpse makeup or something.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah,
scared
yeah.
of them too, and I'm
Black
imagining
metal.
this like tall guy with a big long blonde hair and scary makeup in a black leather jacket, and I'm scared of them.
Did I send you guys the video of that Scandinavian metal band that they have a Viking theme, and they have some song, I forget what it's called, about a Viking boat, and it's like if you go to the show, everyone knows to do this at a certain point where the singer's like, I want you to row, and then everyone in the audience sits down and like mimes rowing a boat with oars.
No,
It's insane.
It's tradition, family
that's
tradition.
really funny.
Well, here's the thing. Like, we're saying we're scared. Here's the thing that maybe we don't get. But Canada, with its, like, bizarre, almost, like, either, like, barely a history in Canada, but also the history we do have, we're ashamed of for the most part and don't want to know because it's so heinous. But we're mostly, these days, in Canada, we're pussy-ass shit. These dark, like, super Scandinavian people who are like trace their roots back to ancient Vikings and black witch magic people from the woods.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers go hard, dude. Canadians are pussies compared
That's
to
a
these
good
guys.
point.
Right? Think about that. We can't
'Cause
connect.
Whenever you see that map where it's like, places with the most death metal countries in the world, and it's like hardly anywhere except Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And it's like if the argument's like maybe it's so cold they, become tough guys. Well, not over here.
No.
So what the hell?
We hit the ice and we dropped the puck instead of
Well,
The good old hockey game. That's our black metal.
yeah. Wayne Gretzky. Whoa, eh?
Hey, his face looks weird, eh? Did you see that the other day?
Yeah.
What's going on?
his face looks like an old funeral.
I'll tell you what's going on. He's gone Hollywood.
Yeah, Gretzky's gone
He's
Hollywood.
gone Hollywood.
Dude.
He's getting facelifts and fillers probably.
Is he?
He shouldn't have gone to L.A.
Oh.
Kings. Should have stayed with Edmonton.
Did
You
he
know
get
what?
the buccal fat removal thing to have like the pronounced cheekbones?
It does look like it.
Hey, Edmonton's got the new best hockey player
McDavid,
ever.
yeah.
Jesus Christ, eh?
People think because he grew up a Leafs fan that one day he might come to the Leafs.
Please help us. But also, Matthews is one of the league's best.
He's really good. Yeah.
Fuck, eh? Okay, so yeah, once he started Burzum, he quickly became involved with the early Norwegian black metal scene. During 92 to 93, he recorded 4 albums as Burzum.
Whoa.
In 92, Vikernes joined the black metal band Mayhem, a year after band member Dead committed suicide on April 8, 1991. Vikernes replaced bassist Necro Butcher, who quit the band because of Euronymous' treatment of Dead's suicide. Now, this is a part where I'm going to digress a bit and talk a bit about these characters because your brain's about to get
Yeah, because I just wanted to jump in to say.
There's a lot going
so
on
Chris, there was a guy in the band whose name was Dead, and he died.
The band Mayhem?
I didn't say something here. I missed a band member in this note, but the drummer for Mayhem is called Hellhammer. So we've got Vikernes, Euronymous, and Hellhammer in Mayhem now, but Mayhem for a while was Necro Butcher, Dead, and Euronymous.
Oh, okay. It's like how Stuart
What?
Sutcliffe...
No, and Hellhammer. What am I saying? Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm getting mixed up. But
it's
you
like
get
how
it.
Stu Sutcliffe was the original... he was in the Beatles.
Yeah, the
And
drummer.
he died.
Yeah,
And they brought in... No, that was Pete Best.
Pete
That was
Best.
the drummer, but yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like Mayhem is kind of like...
Apparently,
that.
the Beatles got rid of Pete Best because he was the handsome one getting all the chicks, and when they were gonna blow
Yeah.
up, then so they got Ringo. Anyways,
So one guy's like, I know what I will make my name. Dead.
now, are you ready to shake in your fucking conservative Orangeville, Ontario boots?
Let me go put my boots on and I'll start shaking.
So Dead, we're gonna take a. I gotta tell you about the story of Dead before we get back to Vikernes. He chose his name Dead
Right.
Okay.
because he felt dead. Okay? Like he was okay. I wrote some notes. All right,
Even though
copied
he was
some-
in Mayhem, he felt that way?
Mayhem was doing
Yeah,
listen
you're
to
having
this.
professional success. What else could you need? Maybe not a great.
Now this
home
is a
life.
sidetrack on Dead. He committed suicide, like I said, in 91. In interviews, fellow musicians often described Dead as odd and introverted. Hellhammer described Dead as a very strange personality, depressed, melancholic, and dark. Likewise, Euronymous, and now I just want to do another side here. Euronymous, I don't know what that means. Does that mean being anonymous in Europe?
Is it spelled? How's it spelled?
Euronymous, like EURONYMOS.
Oh, weird.
Does that mean
Yeah.
something in English to you? I can't
Oh.
clock it right now. Anyways, Euronymous once said of Dead, I honestly think Dead is mentally insane. Which other way could you describe a guy who does not eat in order to get starving wounds, or who has a t-shirt with funeral announcements on it? Former Mayhem drummer Kittel Mannheim later likened Dead's personality to that of Marvin the Paranoid Android. Do you guys know who that is?
No.
that
I
from
looked
the
it up and I already
Flintstones?
forgot. But anyone listeners?
No, it's the Great Gazoo I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved those episodes.
But I looked it up and I totally forgot. I'm sorry. Some authors have speculated that Dead may have had Cotard's syndrome, a very rare condition that manifests in believing one's body is not that of a living human, but instead a corpse.
Cotard.
So I read some stuff about Dead that I didn't put in here that I want to share with you right now.
Okay.
I also heard that so he would sit there introverted and quiet all the time and basically was impenetrable to people, but he still like was playing in this band, right? Mayhem. But a couple other things
Like Groot.
yeah.
I
I'm
am
dead.
Groot. I am dead.
Yeah. But he would say like his veins are ice cold
Not true.
because it's full of ice because he's dead.
Hmm.
He found a corpse of a crow on a road one time, then kept it in a Ziploc bag
Yeah.
and carried it around with him forever. And before shows, he would open the bag and take a deep whiff of the dead crow so that he could have the stench of death in his nostrils as he started singing in the concert.
Whatever happened to having, a little doobie or a little drink of light beer before a show?
This dead crow is my doobie. Another thing he'd do is he'd take his clothes and bury them for a long time. And then
Yeah.
before the show, he'd dig them up and wear them so they had the cold feeling of the dirt feeling of the grave.
Can I ask a question?
I
So
think
this
one
is
of
the motherfucker Dead we're talking about.
Chris, can I ask, did he get a lot of groupie action at Mayhem shows? Was there like a lineup of like, we're here for Dead?
Yeah.
Of like the hottest women in Bergen?
Suck my cold dead dick. Sorry.
Hey, girls, want to come to
So,
the after party?
Does that give you more context about how creepy this fucking guy
It
was?
certainly does.
And he was a
I mean,
drummer?
any one of those details is enough to make me feel a bit funny about him.
Well,
You know what he could have used? He could
I'm
have
so glad none of you guys identify as dead.
Oh, me too.
He could have really used, and it didn't exist back then, BetterHelp. He could have
Yes,
used-
I
No,
wish
but
they
he
were
hated
still our
technology.
sponsor.
Okay, this is another thing that I didn't write down, but he hated technology
Oh,
and
no.
only felt comfortable in the loneliness of the woods. And Mayhem actually had a cabin in the middle of the woods where they
Lucky.
practiced. I know. So here we go. Speaking of that cabin, on April 8th, 1991, Dead used a hunting knife to slit his wrists and throat, and afterward shot himself in the forehead with a shotgun.
Wow.
I know.
It's like the way O.J. Simpson
He
dies.
couldn't wait to die. He just hurry up, slit his wrists, his throat, and he's like fuck, and just took the
A
shotgun.
bit anal retentive.
Yeah.
You don't. One is fine. You don't.
I think he
need to-
really wanted to do it.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
like taking the opportunity to make the most of it.
I'm going to really commit suicide. He left a
He
brief.
should have also jumped off a cliff.
Yeah, with his. Yeah, like blow your brains out facing backwards to a cliff.
And,
Yeah, Dead
and
didn't do
get
it the
a
right
disease,
way.
Too.
Yeah. He
Damn.
left a brief suicide note with the line, "Excuse the blood." His body was found by Euronymous. Now here we get into a little bit of Euronymous action. This is another crazy, people suspected mentally ill freak from Mayhem. And by say freak as in the way these guys would
I
probably
think
use
they
the
would
word
even
freak.
admit they're
That's
freaks.
that's all
I
I'm
really
saying.
do.
Yeah, no offense. Even though you'll see.
If any of the surviving members of Mayhem are listening, we mean no disrespect.
Yeah.
No, like
Yeah.
Don't come to Canada and
Yeah.
kill
we
us with an
don't
axe.
think you're
Yeah.
freaks or
Yeah.
freaks in a good way.
Yeah.
So Euronymous had to climb through an open window as the doors were locked and there were
Mm.
no other keys to the house. Instead of calling the police immediately, now this is what we're talking about with Euronymous. Euronymous visited a nearby shop to purchase a disposable camera with which he photographed the body, and rearranging
dead.
some items for his pictures, he proceeded to call emergency services. So what he did was he rearranged as soon as he found Dead's body.
He was like, I must take a photo of this.
Yeah. He rearranged them, took photos, and then they released an album. Did I write this down or do I just No, they didn't. But he released an album of live songs, like rarities, with the picture of Dead on that he took as the cover.
Wow.
So do you think
Powerful.
so we're not talking like,
This isn't the
Al-
bare
th-
naked darn ladies.
no,
here. These
it's
are
not even Alice in frickin' Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are the real deal.
Yeah.
They got a little too into character.
Keep it real. Necro Butcher recalls how Euronymous told him of the suicide. Oyston called me up the next day and says, oh yeah, Oyston is Euronymous's real name.
Okay.
Dead has done something really cool. He killed himself. I thought, have you lost it? What do you mean cool? He says, relax. I have photos of everything. I was
Yeah,
in shock-
relax, man.
Relax. What's wrong with you?
Don't worry.
I have photos of your good friend. I was in shock and grief. He was just thinking how to exploit it. So I told him, okay, don't even fucking call me before you destroy those pictures. So anyways, that's that situation. Euronymous and Dead.
What a dark joke to try to commit to is if any of us ever off ourselves, one of the surviving members of Evil Men has to call the other and say, hey, Mike, Chris did something really cool. So we make a pact. If any of us ever
Yeah.
off ourselves
Yeah.
and one of us knows and the other doesn't, we have to say
Something really cool.
something really cool
Yeah.
happened. We'll
Well,
be sad, though.
You know what? It sounds
It is
strange.
a hard, it's a hard way to drop that information.
I'd be like, oh, what happened? We got a new record deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norway made the World Cup? I don't know.
Guess what? Mayhem's going to play New York City. ...
Without Dead.
It's grisly to hear that, but I
Yeah,
gotta say, I gotta give props to Euronymous for always grinding. He's got the entrepreneurial mind. He's like, how
Yeah.
can
That's
I
the
spin
thing.
this so that we make some money? How do we get more fans? How do we get more music out there?
Yeah, props to Euronymous. He's on that grind. He's on that late stage capitalism
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
So, Vikernes has distanced himself from his black metal past, claiming he came under the influence of an absolute degenerate loser, Oyston. And like I said, Oyston is Euronymous.
Euronymous.
And blaming his past actions and degeneracy on the negative influence of others in the scene. In a 2020 blog post, Vikernes wrote that he had many differences with others in the black metal scene from the beginning. They did not care for his political opinions or rifle collection, and he changed his beliefs to fit in.
So he's
So that's just an offset about. But we're going to go back to the early 90s with Varg anyways, but I wanted to let you know.
So Varg, our subject, is basically like,
He distanced himself.
I distance myself from this weird band Mayhem where they're killing themselves and taking photos of it, and I don't like it.
But let's go back to the midst of the mayhem. On 6 June 1992, the Fantoft Stave Church, dating from the 12th century and considered architecturally significant, was burned to the ground by arson. The cover of
Uh-oh.
Burzum's EP Aska, which is Norway, what is it? Norwegian for ashes, is a photograph of the destroyed church. By January 1993, arson attacks had occurred on at least 7 other major stave churches, including one on Christmas Eve of 1992. Excuse me. Vikernes was found guilty of several of these cases. The arson and attempted arson of Asane Church and Stortviet Church in Bergen, the arson of Skjold Church in Vindefjord, and the arson of Holmenkollen Chapel in Oslo. He was also charged with the arson of Fantoft Stave Church. Although the jurors found him not guilty, the judges called this an error but did not overthrow the whole case. At the time, media outlets reported that Vikernes was associated with theistic Satanism.
So I guess it's not connected that he was like, I distanced myself from mayhem, but then he went and burned a bunch of churches?
Sorry, I don't know why I had that piece of information there. It should be near after this stuff.
After, okay.
Sorry.
So at this point, he's in mayhem, and he's just like...
That was like older... that was older Varg, like, reminiscing.
I see.
Sorry.
No.
But now we're back in the midst of it.
And is there a reason why he's burning a bunch of churches, or it's just part of the vibe?
He never admits it.
Oh.
But was he found guilty of it?
Yeah.
Right.
Of, like, a bunch of them, except for the original Fantoft Stave Church.
So he's a damn Satanist or like practicing some weird
But
pagan rituals kind
yeah,
of thing?
in later interviews, Vikernes, while not accepting responsibility for the arsons, said that they were not satanic, but instead revenge for the Christian desecration of Viking graves and temples.
Yes.
So this is where his like home pride sort of themes come into. He's got
Right.
this, he thinks like the future, like the present and the whatever destroyed their Viking heritage.
Right.
Like even the invent of Christianity coming there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is I only learned this recently that
Invent?
Also,
Advent? Whatever the fuck I'm trying
the
to say.
Nazis despised Christianity as well. Guess why? Because they thought it was too Jewish, and that it had replaced their like pagan, like Norse or like Germanic gods and myths and stuff. And then it led people to behave weakly instead of sort of like battling each other, so the strongest would survive.
Wow. Like
Well, you're giving us a little teaser, but I
central-
haven't fully gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But he likes the Nazis. We'll get there.
But so it's like the Christianity, the central figure is this forgiving turn
Forgiving
the other cheek.
charity, helping the down
The
and
weak.
out, the weak is like, no, they should be left to die, and only the
Right.
strongest will survive in nature. kind of
And
thing.
If
and
you
that's
feel
like the
dead-
Norse gods. There's a lot more of that going on. I
I
guess.
imagine, like, I don't know a ton about it, but
Neither. But I'm just gonna say I would like to watch The Northman. Haven't got around to it.
I watched it. I don't think Robert Eggers was going for a white supremacist story. It's just an ancient myth that was actually the inspiration for Hamlet. Anyways, according to Vikernes, the arsons were on the anniversary of the Lindisfarne Viking raid. Vikernes claimed that all the burnings except for the one at Stavanger were done by one person. So he has all these claims and this knowledge of them.
You know who else hates Christianity? The damn liberal media.
yes.
Yeah. In January 1993, an article in one of Norway's biggest newspapers, Bergens Tidend, brought the black metal scene into the media spotlight. Two friends of Vikernes interviewed him and brought the interview to the newspaper, hoping they would print it. In the anonymous interview, Count Grishnak, which was Vikernes, and he got that name from Lord of the Rings, remember? Claimed to have burnt the churches and killed a man in Lillehammer. BT journalist Finn Bjorn Tonder set up a meeting with Count Grishnak with help from the friends. The journalists were summoned to an apartment and reportedly warned that they would be shot if the police were called. There, Vikernes and his companions told the journalists that they had burnt the churches or knew who had done it and said that the attacks would continue. They claimed to be devil worshippers and said, "Our intention is to spread fear and devilry. That is why we are telling this to Bergen's Tidend." They gave the journalists details about the arsons that hadn't been released to the press, so BT spoke with the police before publishing it, who confirmed these details. The article was published on 20 January as the front page of the BT, and it was headlined, "We Lit the Fires," and included a photo of Vikernes, his face mostly hidden, holding two large knives. However, by the time the article was printed, Vikernes had already been arrested. The police found him by going to an address printed on a Burzum flyer. Vikernes claimed the anonymous interview was planned by himself and Euronymous. He wanted to scare people and promote black metal. Burzum was about to release the Aska mini album, the one that meant ashes and had the ashes of the church on it.
This will be good promotion for our mini album.
It's just a few tracks. A sampling of what to expect when we finally get the full album.
Just whetting your appetite.
One track is long. It takes up the whole side. The other scene members were also arrested but were released for lack of evidence. Jorn Ing Tunsberg of Hades, I guess Hades is the band, not the real Hades. I don't think he's from there, said that the interview had grave consequences for the rest of the scene, and they didn't know he was going to talk to the press as he had said nothing. He added that they became bloody angry, and he, Tunsberg, was pissed off. Varg was released from prison in March for lack of evidence. Now, this is where we get even more heavy. You guys ready?
And sorry, just to the image where they said we did it and he had knives. Where was that?
That was in the front page of the newspaper after they talked to the newspaper.
So they told the
but I
newspaper
think they probably
we
took
did
a
it.
picture of him with the knives, like at his apartment or something.
So they said we did it, but it's like then later they're like, no, we didn't. We just
No, they told. I don't know. I'd ever read the article, but it sounds like they gave specific details about it, and then the newspaper just said we did it.
Oh, okay.
But they did also run it by the police, and the police were like, "Yeah, no one knows those facts," so they put it together like, "Yeah, they did it."
I see.
Which, I mean, come on.
Use your
And
head,
also, like,
Varg.
But also, if like you didn't do it, but then you're correcting people about what the fires meant, like, no, they're not satanic, they're about this, and it's
'Cause it
like,
would-
but I didn't do it.
If it was like a story or something, it would be almost more interesting if like everyone thinks this scary metal band did it, but they didn't. It was just their image, you know.
yeah,
But it
it
sounds like they
it
did.
might have been promo gone wrong, but I don't know. In early 1993,
Sounds like a Nathan Fielder stunt.
Like dumb Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yes. Dumb church. In early 1993, animosity arose between Euronymous and Vikernes. On the night of 10 August 1993, Vikernes stabbed Euronymous to death at his apartment in Oslo.
No.
The murder was initially blamed on Swedish black metalers by the media. I don't know if it's Vikernes or Vikernes, but it's probably Vikernes, eh? It has been speculated that the murder was the result of a power struggle, a financial dispute over Burzum Records. Euronymous owed Vikernes a large sum of royalty payments, or an attempt at outdoing a recent stabbing in Lillehammer committed by Emperor drummer Faust. See, the names are pretty great in this,
Pretty
eh?
good.
You got to admit.
Feist?
Faust. I'm Faust,
Mushaboom
drummer
Killers.
of Emperor. I am Euronymous. You know what I mean? I'm like Hellhammer. Who's a better drummer, Faust or Hellhammer? Vikernes claims that he killed Euronymous in self-defense. He said Euronymous plotted to stun him with an electroshock weapon. Oh yeah, this is crazy. This is another example of how
This is
Euronymous.
This is all happening in an apartment. It's not like a
I know.
not like a
In
a
cold-
castle or like a ice field like Vikings. It's like two guys in a one-bedroom
Dude.
apartment.
This is all in apartments in cold Norway. They're wearing white face paint with black eye makeup
Are
on,
they in their
leather
30s?
jackets.
Like
It's probably like one of those kitchens where you can smell the gas stove a bit much and it kind of stinks. Like,
yeah, there's probably a pizza box.
oh yeah.
But this is another.
they're stabbing each other, and the roommate's like, "I'm trying to sleep."
This is another example of how Euronymous is also fucked. So he plotted to stun him, and the other friends like told this to Vikernes. Stun him with an electroshock weapon, tie him up, and torture him to a death, like on video, and videotape it. So basically make a snuff film slowly killing Vikernes. Vikernes explains, if he was talking about it to everybody and anybody, I wouldn't have taken it seriously. But he just told a select group of friends, and one of them told me. He said Euronymous planned to use a meeting about an unsigned contract to ambush him. On the night of the murder, Vikernes and Snorri Blackthorn Ruck drove from Bergen to Euronymous' apartment at Toyengaten in Oslo. What? I love that Norwegian name Snorri, eh?
Snorri.
S-O-N-O-R-R-E. Snorri is the name of the guy who wrote the wrote down the Poetic Edda too. You guys know what that?
No,
The Viking Norse mythology.
I don't know it.
This is a different guy though. Blackthorn allegedly stood in the stairwell smoking while Vikernes went to Euronymous' apartment on the 4th floor. He said he met Euronymous at the door to hand him the signed contract, but when he stepped forward and confronted Euronymous panicked and kicked him in the chest. Vikernes claims Euronymous ran into the kitchen to fetch a knife. The two got into a struggle, and Vikernes stabbed Euronymous to death. His body was found in the stairwell on the 1st floor with 23 stab wounds, 2 to the head, 5 to the neck, and 16 to the back. Vikernes claimed his final stab to the skull was so powerful the knife remained stuck in Euronymous' skull, but there was no physical evidence of bodily injuries that supported this claim. Vikernes contended that most of Euronymous' wounds were caused by broken glass he had fallen on during the struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
You fucking liar.
It was a fucking knife, eh? It was the knife. The claim of self-defense is doubted by Emperor drummer Faust. But Mayhem bassist Necro Butcher believed Vikernes did kill Euronymous due to the aforementioned death threats. So who you gonna believe, Faust or Necro Butcher?
I mean, I don't envy that jury.
We call Necro Butcher to the stand. Thanks, Your Honor. Blackthorn claimed Vikernes planned to murder Euronymous and pressured him into coming along. He claimed that in the summer of 1993, he was also almost committed to a mental hospital, but fled to Bergen and stayed with Vikernes. Blackthorn said of the murder, "I was neither for nor against it. I don't give a shit about Oyston." Oyston was Euronymous.
Wow.
Real name.
Either for
So these
nor
guys are
against
all...
I
like,
guess if
they're
you're,
all like nihilistic, dead inside
I know.
freakazoids.
Yeah.
It's funny because like them like starting to hate each other. Like I guess if your whole life is about celebrating hatred and the devil, it's probably nice if you hate your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You want to
seriously.
hate your friend.
Vikernes, however, claims that he had not planned the killing and that Blackthorn came along to show Euronymous some new guitar riffs.
Dun, 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 dun,
Hey,
dun,
what are you doing? Ow! Fuck! You're stabbing me, dude. Vikernes was arrested on 19 August 1993 in Bergen. The police found 150 kilograms of explosives and 3,000 rounds of ammunition in his home. According to the Encyclopedia of White Power, Vikernes intended to blow up Blitz House. Oh, Mike, you'd be sad about this.
Uh-oh.
Blitz House was a radical leftist and anarchist enclave in Oslo. So he hated that. He wanted to
You
blow
didn't
them
like
up.
it. Wow, surprising.
Not a Bernie bro.
The plan was reportedly on the verge of execution when they caught him.
Oh, man.
So he was going to blow up this hippie area.
Yeah, basically.
Blitz House.
Blitz House. Blitz House. On 16 May 1994, Vikernes was sentenced to 21 years in prison.
Damn.
Norway's maximum penalty for the murder of
And
Euronymous.
they live in these beautiful... Have you ever seen these things of like Scandinavian prisons and they're like nicer than apartments over
No,
here?
that's what I didn't write it. I didn't write it down. But he did make a comment for when he first went in for the arsons about he's like, hey, I got my own shower. Put me in a dungeon. He wanted to be in a dungeon because it was like too nice.
Get the warden.
So yeah, he's in there for the murder of 20 years in prison for the murder of Euronymous, the arson of the 3 churches, the attempted arson of a 4th, and for the theft and storage of 150 kilograms of explosives. Though Vikernes only confessed to the theft and storage of the explosives, 2 churches were set on fire the day he was sentenced, presumably as a statement of symbolic support. Blackthorn, who hadn't taken part in the murder as he had gone down the condominium stairs to smoke, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for being an accomplice. May 1994 also saw the release of Mayhem's album De Mysteries Dom Satanas.
Is it on? I wonder sincerely if it's on Spotify.
It is.
It is?
I fucking played some of this stuff today, and
No,
I'm
you
like, Jesus
didn't.
Christ.
Seriously?
No, that's why I was... oh, yeah, I didn't say this on the podcast yet, but driving over to your house, I was blasting Big Youth, the old reggae DJ from the 70s, because I needed some light vibes because I was listening to this freaking black metal.
Did that make you go crazy to listen to this band?
Especially when you're learning about the real life of these guys, it's really fucking dark. But yeah, the band is heavy and dark. Anyways,
That's nuts.
so that album, De Mysteries Dom Satanis,
Yeah.
which I assume translates to the mysteries of Satan. But maybe I'm wrong. Which has Euronymous on electric guitar and Vikernes on bass guitar. Before the release, Euronymous' family had asked Mayhem's drummer Hellhammer to remove the bass tracks recorded by Vikernes. Hellhammer said, "I thought it was appropriate that the murderer and victim were on the same record. I put word out that I was re-recording the bass parts, but I never did."
No way!
Hellhammer!
My God. And that album also won. What year was it? It was the
He won a
94.
Juno. Yeah, best metal album '94.
Best Comedy Album 2024. Vikernes served his sentence at the prisons in Bergen, Tonsberg, Ringerreich, Trondheim, and Tromsø.
He's on tour. He's on tour in the prisons.
Yeah, he traveled around. Vikernes, I took out some facts here because it just gets I don't know. Vikernes launched the Norwegian Heathen Front, Norsk Hedensk Front, during his early years in prison. This was a pagan neo-Nazi group that grew into the International Pan-Germanic Heathen Front. So sorry, those notes I made earlier, this is where it would more apply. Like, he distanced himself from black metal around this time, and it was more about his politics. His politics are pretty fucking intense. So Vikernes has said, "I have never formed or been a member of such organizations. The only organization I'm a member of is Riksmalsforbundet, the Society for the Preservation of Traditional Standard Norwegian." Now, I think that is kind of like, what we get here in North America sometimes, code for remember the good old days when we were the lords, like that kind of stuff, like Viking rule. And anyways, however, Vikernes did come into contact with the neo-Nazi group Zorn 88 and wrote articles in its magazine Galarhorn. So anytime he's like, "No, I'm not a part of that," it's like he literally can't stop writing articles or books based on these kind of ideologies. One of the group's leading members, esoterist Jan Erik Kvamsdal, helped Vikernes' publish Vargsmal and set up the Heathen Front according to the Monitor organization.
It's funny,
Vargsmal is like a book that Vikernes wrote when he was in prison.
I feel like your episodes randomly always have the most hard to pronounce words and so many of them. I don't know why.
I think
just like
there's-
bad luck on your end.
I think there's like a subconscious desire in me to get out of North America.
Right.
So I go exploring. But yeah,
Love
we've
it.
done. Also, there's been a lot of weird ancient serial killers from Scandinavian
Yeah.
countries and stuff.
So he's becoming a Nazi. He's writing his prison book, as I guess you do
Yeah.
when you're a Nazi.
Yeah. There's more crazy stuff coming in regards to this.
Okay.
On 8 April 1997, Norwegian police arrested 5 neo-Nazis in Hemnes. According to police, the young men were part of a self-styled Einsatzgruppe and were plotting attacks on political and religious figures in Norway. They also had plans to break Vikernes out of prison. He's got a lot of influence in prison still. The group had all the trappings of a paramilitary unit, including guns, explosives, bulletproof vests, steel helmets, and balaclavas. One of its members, Tom Eiterns, had befriended Vikernes in prison before escaping while on leave.
On leave.
Yeah.
Norway
no, that's
has
Tom.
a revolving door prison system. They got to lock them away for longer.
Tom Eiternes was on leave. That's when he joined this Einsatzgruppe
Right.
to do terror. On 26 October 23rd, though, speaking of on leave, Vikernes went on the run after being granted a short leave. He stopped a car in Numedal. Inside it was a family of 3 who said that he hijacked the car at gunpoint. About 19 hours later, police stopped the car in Romarik and arrested him. The car contained knives, a gas mask, camouflage clothing, a portable GPS navigator, maps, a compass, a laptop, and a mobile phone. Police also found a handgun and an AG-3 automatic rifle in a cabin in Rawlag, where Vikernes had hidden during his escape. They concluded that his escape was well planned and involved assistance from several people on the outside. Before the escape, Vikernes gave his mother a letter. In it, he wrote that he had received death threats and another inmate had tried to strangle him shortly after the newspaper article was published. I forget. Did I say what newspaper article? Whatever.
So we did it? That one?
No, this
No?
is way later.
Oh, okay.
Maybe something else. For his actions, 13 months were added to Vikernes' sentence, and he was moved to a prison in Ringerreich in July 2004. He was moved to a maximum security prison in Trondheim. The last 3 years of his sentence were spent in Tromsø prison. Ugh, sorry,
Do you
that
think
was a
that
mouthful, guys. I didn't.
In his mind, do you
break it
think when he's
good.
like, "Yes, I'm hijacking a family's car, just like the ancient Vikings used to do."
up? Row, row, damn you!
The car's like.
Also, I forgot to mention, I took it out from notes earlier, that his mom is actually basically. I remember I said there was examples of his parents being racist, and his mom was pretty supportive of him. It almost seems like she was proud of like having this like demented intellectual son,
Right.
who could like lead people into trouble. I don't know.
Huh.
On 22nd May 2009, he confirmed that he had been released from prison on probation. After he was released from prison, he released some more Burzum albums, but who gives a shit? Just kidding, Vikernes. Vikernes was one of the recipients of far-right... Okay, this is what I'm talking about.
Of the Nobel Peace Prize.
The far right Nobel Peace Prize.
No, this is pretty heavy, and it freaks me out.
Uh-oh.
So he was one of the recipients of far-right terrorist Anders Behring Breivik's manifesto.
I was gonna ask if he had anything to do with that
So
guy.
he looked up to him, the fucking guy.
Oh Jesus.
Who is
Oh
that
yeah,
guy?
Andres Behring Breivik.
He's a Norwegian serial killer.
Okay, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Breivik
Sorry, I didn't
sent out. He sent out these manifestos to a few people before launching the 2011 Norway attacks that killed 77 people.
Right.
Remember that?
I do remember.
Wasn't like
So
a
this guy
y-
looked up to Vikernes.
Was it like
Wow.
a youth, like the youth wing of some like left wing party was having like a summer retreat, and he just opened fire on them and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
a gun or
I think.
Although
he has,
Vikernes
yeah.
condemned Breivik's actions, this drew the attention of the French authorities because he was living in France now with his wife.
Oh.
On 16 July 2013, Vikernes and his wife, a French national, were arrested at their home in Corrèze, France, on suspicion of planning acts of terrorism after his wife bought 4 rifles. Officials later stated that Vikernes' wife had a legal firearms permit to buy the rifles. The two were later released without charges after police failed to identify any terrorist plans or targets. So yeah, his name gets around in not good ways ever.
So he's in France.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of the character from the show Emily in Paris.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or is
yeah,
that trying to soak up a different culture and you know?
Yeah. Also
Yeah.
reminds me of Amelie a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it's
sort
cute.
of quirky.
Yeah.
and-
But just a little more gritty.
Yeah, more
slightly.
gritty than
Yeah.
than Amelie.
But Vikernes was instead charged by French authorities for inciting racial hatred against Jews and Muslims. This was due to posts on his blog, Thulian Perspective, which included anti-Semitic posts that were taken down following the charges. Vikernes claimed he had not written the posts, although the blog attributed all posts to him.
That is like
See, he keeps saying, I don't
And-
have
and this-
connect.
Yeah.
I don't do this.
This isn't the first time there's been an admin error at Thulian Perspective. So I also want to say from a tech point of view, Thulian Perspective has not been nailing it for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't even load.
No.
how many
Hey.
404 errors do you get when you go to thulianperspective.ca?
Did you listen to that 4-part or whatever it was, like David Duke podcast series? Remember that?
I did. It was like a slate.
He'd
Yeah.
be a great
Podcast?
topic coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, we should do him, but
Mm.
they did it the best. But we'd make it funny. But David Duke, do you remember there was that part where he starts telling like his followers like, let's not actually say white power and let's not say Nazi this, Nazi that.
Just like dog whistles and like
Yeah, yeah.
more nuanced. Like
Yeah, but it seems like Varg has taken that kind of idea into consideration. Like he downplays like his connection to anything, and he,
Right.
you know, he's just but he's full on into it. These are his beliefs. On 8 July 2014, Vikernes was convicted of inciting racial hatred and sentenced to 6 months of probation and a fine of 8,000 euros.
Man, it's almost like it's illegal to blog these days.